Who was Mary Magdalene? For centuries her name has been whispered with a mix of fascination and confusion. Many see her as a sinner, a fallen woman saved by Jesus. But is that the whole story? What if the woman we think we know is just a shadow of the truth? Today, we're pulling back the curtain of myth and misunderstanding to uncover the real Mary Magdalene, a story of profound faith, unwavering loyalty, and incredible strength that has been hidden in plain sight for 2,000 years. This isn't just a history lesson, it's an exploration of a soul that can teach us so much about our own spiritual journeys. Let's start by clearing up the biggest misconception. The popular image of Mary Magdalene as a prostitute or a public sinner isn't actually in the Bible. So, where did it come from? This idea was largely popularized in the 6th century by Pope Gregory the Great, who combined several different women from the Gospels into one composite figure. He blended Mary Magdalene, from whom Jesus cast out 7 demons, with Mary of Bethany, the sister of Lazarus, and an unnamed sinful woman who anointed Jesus' feet. This created a powerful but ultimately inaccurate narrative of redemption. So, if she wasn't that woman, who was she? The Gospels of Luke and Mark introduce her clearly. Luke chapter 8 tells us she was one of several women who had been healed of evil spirits and diseases. Specifically, it says Mary, called Magdalene, from whom 7 demons had gone out. These women, including Joanna and Susanna, were not just passive followers. They were active patrons of Jesus' ministry, supporting him and his disciples out of their own resources. This tells us Mary was likely a woman of some means, and her devotion wasn't just emotional, it was practical. She invested her life and her wealth into the mission she believed in. The phrase, 7 demons, is powerful. In ancient times, this wasn't necessarily a sign of moral failing. It could represent a severe physical or psychological illness, an overwhelming affliction. Imagine the suffering she endured, and then the profound liberation and gratitude she must have felt after her healing by Jesus. This healing wasn't a footnote in her story, it was the catalyst. It forged a bond of loyalty so strong that nothing could break it. Her past wasn't one of sin, but of suffering. Her story isn't about being saved from shame, but about being restored to wholeness. This deep loyalty is what defines the true Mary Magdalene. She wasn't a fair-weather follower. She was there for the highs, but more importantly, she was there for the lows. Think about the crucifixion. As Jesus hung on the cross, in his moment of greatest agony and abandonment, where were most of his male disciples? They had scattered, afraid for their lives. Peter, the rock, had denied him 3 times. But John's Gospel tells us who was there, standing firm at the foot of the cross. A small group of women, and among them, Mary Magdalene. Can you imagine the courage that took? The atmosphere in Jerusalem was tense, dangerous. To be publicly associated with a man condemned as a criminal by the Roman authorities was to risk your own life. Yet, she did not run. She stayed. She watched. She bore witness to the suffering of the one who had saved her. Her love wasn't just a feeling, it was an action. It was a steadfast presence in the face of unimaginable horror and grief. In our own lives, how often do we shy away from the suffering of others because it's uncomfortable or risky? Mary's example challenges us. It calls us to a love that is present, a loyalty that endures even when it costs us something. But her story doesn't end in the darkness of Golgotha. It finds its climax in the morning light of the resurrection. All 4 Gospels place Mary Magdalene at the empty tomb. She is the first to go, while it is still dark, driven by her enduring love to care for Jesus' body. It's here that she receives the most incredible honor in human history. In John's Gospel, we see her weeping outside the tomb, utterly heartbroken. She thinks someone has stolen the body. And then, a man she mistakes for the gardener asks her, "Woman, why are you weeping?" It's only when he says her name, Mary, that she recognizes him. It's Jesus. In that moment, she becomes the very first person to witness the resurrected Christ. Think about the significance of this. Not Peter, not John, not any of the men who would become the pillars of the church. Jesus chose to reveal himself first to a woman, to Mary Magdalene. He then gives her a divine commission. Go to my brothers and tell them, I am ascending to my Father and your Father, to my God and your God. She is sent as the first messenger of the good news. She becomes what early church fathers would later call the apostle to the apostles. This moment is revolutionary. In a culture where a woman's testimony was often considered unreliable in a court of law, Jesus entrusts the most important testimony of all, the news of his victory over death, to Mary. He shatters cultural norms and elevates her to a position of immense spiritual authority. Her role wasn't secondary, it was foundational. She was the first evangelist, the first to proclaim the core message of Christianity: He is risen. So what can we learn from the real Mary Magdalene? Her life offers us a powerful template for our own faith. First, her story is one of transformation. From a place of deep suffering, she was brought into a life of purpose and devotion. It reminds us that no matter what our past holds, be it pain, illness, or brokenness, it does not define our future. Healing is possible, and that healing can become the very foundation of a new, purpose-driven life. Our deepest wounds can become the source of our greatest strengths and our most passionate testimonies. Second, Mary teaches us about unwavering loyalty. Her love for Jesus wasn't conditional. It didn't fade when things got difficult or dangerous. She stood by him at the cross when others fled, and she sought him at the tomb when all hope seemed lost. This challenges us to examine our own commitment. Is our faith only for the good times, or are we willing to stand firm, to be present, and to love, even in the midst of trial and uncertainty? True devotion isn't about grand gestures, but about steadfast presence. Third, she exemplifies courageous witness. After encountering the risen Christ, she didn't keep the news to herself. She obeyed his command and ran to tell the disciples, even though they were skeptical at first. She was the first to speak the truth of the resurrection. In our own lives, we are also called to be witnesses, maybe not on such a grand scale, but in our words, our actions, and the way we live. Mary's courage encourages us to share the hope and truth we have found, even when we might face doubt or misunderstanding. Finally, Mary's story is about a personal relationship with the divine. Notice how Jesus calls her by name. It's a moment of intimate recognition. Her faith wasn't just about following a set of rules or doctrines. It was a deep, personal connection. She knew Jesus, and he knew her. This is an invitation for all of us. Faith isn't an abstract concept. It's a relationship. It's about listening for our name to be called, about seeking a personal encounter with the sacred. The real Mary Magdalene is not a symbol of shame, but a beacon of faith. She is a model of discipleship, a testament to the power of loyalty, and a hero of the resurrection story. Her legacy reminds us that God often chooses those the world overlooks to carry the most important messages. She was a witness, a patron, a loyal friend, and the apostle to the apostles. As we move forward in our own spiritual walks, let's carry her true story with us. Let's strive for a faith as transformative, a loyalty as steadfast, and a witness as courageous as hers. Let's seek that personal connection that turns weeping into joy and darkness into dawn. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey to uncover the truth about Mary Magdalene. If this story has inspired you, please give this video a like and share it with someone who might need to hear it. We'd love to read your thoughts in the comments below. What does Mary Magdalene's story mean to you? And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the stories that shape our faith. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.